If you're watching this video, you're looking for the differences between the House and the Senate and the people that make them up, especially from our state, the state of Wisconsin. So let's get started here. Now, if you look at the map in front of you here, we can use this to answer and ask a couple of questions about the Senate. So give yourself a little quiz here. Point to Wyoming on this map. If you're pointing to the pink square near the left there that says WY, that's Wyoming. Do yourself a favor. Tell me how many U.S. senators there are in Wyoming. If you said 2, you're absolutely correct. Now do the same for Alaska or California, Nevada or Utah, Colorado, Wisconsin or Michigan. How many senators are there in those states? If you said 2 again, you're absolutely right. Doesn't matter which state you're from, as long as it's a state in the United States, you are entitled to 2 U.S. senators. That's why we have 100 members in the Senate, 2 per state, 50 states total, makes up 100. So let's take a closer look at the people that represent Wisconsin in the U.S. Senate. Who is this person? Which political party is she part of, and what role does she play in Congress? Pause it here and consider this. Do you know who it is? If you said Tammy Baldwin of the Democratic Party and a senator from Wisconsin, you are absolutely correct. In fact, Tammy Baldwin is a historical senator for the fact that she is the first openly gay senator in U.S. history. Now, the amazing thing is that she comes from Wisconsin, voted for by millions of Wisconsinites, and then we have our other senator, this gentleman, also from Wisconsin, also a senator from Wisconsin, but also voted on by millions of other Wisconsinites. Who's this guy? Pause it and see if you can figure it out. Did you say Ron Johnson from the Republican Party? Then you're absolutely correct. And the amazing thing about this is that both Tammy and Ron are representing Wisconsin in the Senate. They were both elected by millions of Wisconsinites. The funny thing is, they're from opposite political parties and have opposite ideologies. That's why Wisconsin is a lot of times referred to as a purple state, because we elect Republicans, red party, and Democrats, blue party. Okay, blend them together, what do you get? You get purple. So a lot of times Wisconsin is referred to as a purple state. Now, not from Wisconsin, but also important members of the Senate. You've got this gentleman here on the right, and by now you should recognize him. This is, again, good old average Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States. Now, he is a Democrat, and his role in Congress we already talked about or touched on, but we'll remind you here. He's the President of the Senate. Remember, he cast that deciding vote, that tie-breaking vote, if they need to, in the Senate. Now, this gentleman here might be one you haven't seen before, but you're going to see more of in the future. His name is Orrin Hatch, and he's from the Republican Party. And his role in Congress will be the President pro tempore. Now, this is basically the honorary person in charge of the Senate that runs the day-to-day operations, that has more of a role than the Vice President of the United States or the President of the Senate. The President pro tempore is kind of in charge of running everything. And he is selected from the majority party. Now, because of the midterm elections and how well the Republicans did in those elections, they now hold more seats than the Democrats in the Senate. So they are able to pick the person they want for President pro tempore. And Orrin Hatch is the person that we anticipate being the President pro tempore of the Senate. Now, the Senate is just one of the 2 chambers that make up Congress. The other is the House of Representatives. So let's take a look at how the House of Representatives picks its members and who represents Wisconsin. Now, in front of you, you see a map of congressional seats after the 2010 census. Now, the census is an official count of the American population. It's done every 10 years. And it's used for all sorts of different things, like allocation of tax money, but also for the distribution of congressional seats. Now, this is called apportionment. They want to give a portion of the 435 seats to the different states based on their population. So when apportionment happens, they're spreading out the seats based on population. Now, if the population remains the same in the states, between the 10-year period, there'd be no need to redo those numbers. But if they have to redo those numbers, it's called reapportionment. And they will redivide the seats up depending on the population of the United States. Now you can see this map. The more people in a state, the more chairs they get in the House of Representatives. Now Wisconsin, if you find it on the map, had no change in the last census, and they remained with 8 seats in the House of Representatives. While states like California had 53, and Texas even gained a few and became 36. So the more people you have, the more seats you get in the House of Representatives. So who has our seats? Well, we are in District 7. And in District 7, there are roughly 750,000 people. And the majority of those people elected this man, Sean Duffy, to represent our district, District 7, in the House of Representatives. He's one of the 8 people Wisconsin sends to the House of Representatives to vote on certain matters in the House. So we know him. This is Sean, and he's a Republican, and his role in Congress is a 7th Congressional District Representative. And he's famous for his log rolling lumberjack commercials, but he also was a commentator on ESPN and even appeared for a while on MTV's Real World. That's where he met his wife. He's not the only one that's important in the House. There's this gentleman as well, and we introduced him in an earlier video. This is John Boehner. John Boehner is the Speaker of the House, and he is second in line for presidential succession. He is a Republican. John Boehner is that man that's in charge of the House of Representatives. Now, this lady that's located down here, this is Nancy Pelosi. She was the nation's first female Speaker of the House when the Democrats controlled the majority of seats in the House of Representatives. But since they lost those seats to Republicans, Republicans got to pick the person they wanted, and they chose John Boehner. All right, now that may change based on future elections, but right now, that is who's in charge of the House.